Welcome along to the deep dive. We've got some really interesting material here focusing on Easter 2025 in the UK.
Yeah, quite a bit to unpack.
Our mission, as always, is to pull out the key bits, the really interesting stuff about the celebrations this year, give you a good overview.
And we're looking at that main Easter weekend, right?
Exactly. So Good Friday is April 18th, Easter Sunday is the 20th, and then Easter Monday, the bank holiday, is April 21st.
It always strikes me how much gets packed into just those few days. It's this real crossroads, isn't it?
How so?
Well, you've got the deep religious meaning, then all the family traditions, cultural stuff, and, the practical side, like everyone hitting the roads. It all happens at once.
That's a great way to put it. And let's start with that core, the religious side. For Christians, Easter is, well, fundamentally about remembering the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Absolutely. And that means church service is happening right across the UK.
There's one service this year that's getting quite a bit of early attention.
Yes, the Easter Matin service at St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle.
Matins being the traditional morning prayer service.
That's the one. And what makes this service particularly significant, or at least what the sources are pointing towards, is who might be attending.
Okay.
We're expecting King Charles and Queen Camilla, which is, fairly standard for a major service. But the real point of interest is Princess Kate Middleton.
Ah, right. Because the information suggests this could be her first sort of public appearance since the news about her remission.
Exactly, since that encouraging news earlier in the year. So it adds this whole other layer, doesn't it? A human interest angle, maybe a bit of national focus beyond the usual royal diary.
It really does. You can imagine the feeling around that. Okay, so moving away from the purely religious observation, Easter's also just a huge time for families, isn't it? Spring is here, kids are off school.
Definitely. And that leads straight into all the family events.
And there seems to be quite a variety.
Oh, for sure. The National Trust, for example. They're running their Easter egg hunts again.
Always popular.
Hugely popular. They're happening at sites all over the country, basically Saturday through Monday, so April 19th to 21st. Great way to get outdoors.
Yeah, explore some lovely places. And then there's something a bit more whimsical. Alice's Easterland Adventure.
Right. That sounds fun. It runs just before and into the weekend, April 17th to 20th. And yeah, it includes a Mad Hatter's Tea Party.
Huh. Fantastic. So something a bit different from the usual egg hunt.
Exactly. And, tying into that whole spring theme, even though it airs just before the weekend, that Channel 5 show, Springtime on the Farm.
Oh, yeah, at Cannon Hall Farm. Love that place.
That's it. Airing April 15th to 18th. It just perfectly captures that feeling, new lambs, miniature donkeys, all that new life. It sort of taps into the same feeling of renewal that Easter represents for many.
That makes sense. It connects nicely. Okay, so beyond the immediate family fun, Easter's also a chance to look back a bit, isn't it? Explore some UK heritage.
It really is. And some places lean into that beautifully. Beamish Museum up in County Durham is a great example.
What are they doing?
They've got Easter weekend celebrations planned right across the 4 days, April 18th to 21st. And the cool thing is, they recreate Easter from different periods.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, from the 1820s right through the Victorian era up to the 1950s. You can actually sort of see how things changed. Imagine an 1820s Easter versus a 1950s one.
That's fascinating. Completely different vibe, I bet.
Totally. And down in Shropshire, Bliss Hill Victorian Town is doing something similar, focusing just on the Victorian Easter throughout April.
So like proper Victorian egg hunts and costumes.
Yeah, exactly that. Costume characters, Victorian-style activities. It really makes history feel, alive.
It does. It's not just looking at exhibits. It's kind of stepping into it.
Right. It shows how deep some of these traditions run, how they're woven into the country's history.
Okay, so that covers the religious, the family, the historical angles. What about the practicalities? Travel? That's always a big one over Easter.
Huge, especially when you factor in the school holidays. The main spring break runs from around April 11th right through to the 28th this year.
So a long window for people to be moving around.
Exactly. And the RAC, well, they're forecasting a lot of car journeys. Something like 2.7 million leisure trips each day from the Thursday to the Saturday.
Wow. Per day.
Per day. And over 19 million journeys in total expected across the long weekend. That's a lot of cars on the road.
It really is. And people are heading for the usual spots, I assume. Coasts, countryside.
Yeah. The sources mentioned coastal retreats, countryside cottages, city breaks, the typical popular destinations.
Which means planning is crucial.
Absolutely essential.
Yeah.
Forewarned is forearmed, like they say. There's likely to be disruption.
What kind?
Well, two main things mentioned. Firstly, planned engineering works on some rail lines. So if you're taking the train, definitely check beforehand.
Good tip. And the roads, just general congestion.
General congestion, yes, especially around tourist hotspots. But also, they're predicting specific pinch points.
Oh, like where and when?
The forecast highlights Good Friday, particularly between about 11 a.m. and 1 p.m.
Yeah.
That seems to be the peak window for delays.
Okay. Any
Yeah.
specific routes?
They mentioned the M25 near Gatwick Airport and
Okay.
also the M6 heading north from Chester. So key holiday routes, basically.
Right. So if you can travel outside of that late morning, early afternoon slot on Friday, it might save you some hassle.
It certainly could. Worth thinking about anyway.
Definitely. Okay, let's shift to maybe my favorite part, the food.
Ah, yes. Always important. Easter is, without doubt, a time for some good food.
What are the classics we should expect to see?
Well, lots of pubs and restaurants will have special Easter menus. Roast lamb is, the big centerpiece for many Easter Sunday lunches.
Can't beat a good roast lamb.
And then, of course, hot cross buns everywhere.
Essential.
And chocolate. Let's not forget the sheer amount of chocolate eggs and treats.
Haha, impossible to forget. And what if you're cooking at home?
The advice seems to be to check out local markets, farm shops, places like that. You'll find great seasonal produce, artisan bits and pieces to put together your own feast.
Nice. Supporting local producers, too.
Exactly. And it ties back, doesn't it? Lamb, spring vegetables. It all connects to that theme of spring, of new beginnings we talked about earlier.
It really does. So pulling it all together then, Easter 2025 in the UK looks like a real mix.
It really does. You've got the deep meaning for Christians, loads of family fun, chances to explore history and culture,
Balanced with the realities of busy travel times.
and topped off with some delicious seasonal food. It's quite a package.
It sounds like a proper opportunity for, a bit of renewal, maybe some hope, and just connecting with people in your community.
I think so. It holds that potential. Which actually leads to a final thought to leave people with.
Go on.
We've talked about Beamish showing celebrations from the 1820s to the 1950s. But think about all the different ways Easter and springtime might have been marked across different centuries, or even just different parts of the UK. What unique local traditions or stories might still be out there, beyond what we've covered, just waiting to be rediscovered.